Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into the shocking story of Guy Madison. Madison identifies the gay actors from the past. He dated Madison in secret in Hollywood. Robert Ozell Mosley was born in January, Kern County, California, 1922. Growing up in the midst of the Great Depression, Madison came from a lowly background. Early years were spent in a tiny town. Values, and at first he didn't desire to pursue a career in acting. After completing his studies at Bakersfield College, he researched the care of animals with the intention of going into agriculture as a career. A plan was quickly changed with the start of World. Madison joined the United States during World War II. Served in the United States Navy during the conflict. Served as a radio operator in the Navy. In his military service in the Pacific influenced a lot of his personality, instilling discipline, humility, and patriotism, characteristics that viewers would learn to connect with. A lot of the roles he later, while on a brief leave, was played. In 1944, Madison's life took place in Hollywood. Took a tragic turn, and he was found by Henry Wilson, a talent agent who identified his remarkable appearance and thought he possessed the qualities of a movie star. The first time Madison appeared on screen was that year with a minor unacknowledged part in the production of David O. Selznick's Since You Went Away, a romance drama where he played a soldier who was well-groomed. Casting that struck a chord during the conflict. Although he had little, the American public, Madison's first acting role generated a resounding response from fans, and Hollywood saw Selznick right away. Agreed to a contract with him, and he was soon cultivated for celebrity. At the late, Madison made appearances in a number of movies that made use of his all-American persona, which includes Till the End of Time 1946, in which he co-starred with Robert. 1947's Mitchum and Honeymoon. Although at first, critics gave him mixed evaluations because of his limited acting background, of Madison's innate charm and heartfelt performances eventually prevailed. His biggest triumph over audiences came with his leading part as the protagonist character in the popular television series and the adventures of Wild Bill radio series Hickok, which ran between 1951 to 1958. The Western is based on the actual Marshall established the life frontier. Madison's status as a symbol of popular culture, wearing cowboy clothes, and his Andy Devine plays the sidekick jingles. Madison gave life to Wild Bill Hickok. Combining stoic bravery with friendly warmth, that the series attained millions of people who watched, and was among the earliest performances to be concurrent broadcast on radio and television. Children looked up to him, and adults respected him. He and his performance played a part in the Western's heyday in American media. His face appeared on comic books and lunchboxes, and even cartons of cereal. And he frequently showed up at public events and rodeos, constantly giving fans a warm greeting and modesty. Despite his popularity on TV, Madison kept performing in feature films. Movies from the 1950s and 1960s, he appeared in a lot of action and Western films. Adventure movies, such as The Charge at River Feather 1953, which gained notoriety for its creative application of 3D sound effects as the Western genre started to emerge. Madison's popularity changed a lot of his work abroad, particularly in Italy. There he appeared in several war movies and spaghetti westerns. During these European productions from the 1960s kept his career going, and he rose to recognizable to audiences around the world. Even though these movies were occasionally inferior, Madison consistently came close to his budget roles with integrity and professionalism. Madison progressively changed as the years went by. Retreated from the limelight, he acting retirement in the late 1970s, yet continued to be a beloved figure at westerns and vintage film festivals, gatherings where enthusiasts of all ages would assemble to honor Wilde's legacy. In the heyday of Bill Hickok, Madison received a 1996 Westerns Award. His contributions earned him the Golden Boot Award to television and movies from the West, and recognition of his lasting influence regarding the genre. At the height of his Hollywood career in 1949, actress Gail was married to famous Guy Madison. Another celebrity who had enthralled viewers with her ethereal beauty and performances that are emotionally charged in movies like 1944's The Uninvited and 1947 saw The Union of Angel and the Bad Man. Was viewed as a stylish contest in the public's perception because both were young, appealing and quickly growing in their individual professions, but behind the instances in which their relationship got tense, having emotional difficulties, Russell, incredibly perceptive and reserved woman, suffered from severe social anxiety, as well as alcoholism, a disorder that was made worse by the demands of Madison's Hollywood existence, although being encouraging initially found it difficult to handle with the volatility and emotional toll that accompanied his wife's internal conflict. The continuation of Madison's own acting career to accelerate, including his leading role in Wild Bill's adventures. Hickok's physical and emotional, the couple's estrangement from one another increased. Finally split up in 1953 following 4 years of union, and their separation was completed in October 1954. Even though their union ended tragically, Madison allegedly stayed sympathetic to Russell, and her personal hardships throughout their lives would follow quite different routes. After that, things took a drastic turn. Soon later, Madison got married again. Completing his separation from Russell in late October, he married actress Sheila Connolly in 1954 and had a civil ceremony in Juarez, Mexico. A well-liked location for speedy marriages. Divorces that were well known at the time for her parts in westerns from the 1950s and dramas expressed Madison's gratitude for the great outdoors, family life, and at first, their relationship appeared to the couple settled in a solid and loving relationship. Entered the home and subsequently had Dolly, Erin, and Bridget are the 3 daughters. Madison, who had been raised in a big, according to reports, his family took excellent pride in being a father and attempted to strike a balance his time spent in Hollywood with his kids. But the pressures of entertainment industry life, Madison's numerous travels in addition to for television and movie productions in Europe and the United States, started to take a damage to their union. By November 1960 the pair had split up, and there in April 1963, a divorce was finalized. Despite the fact that Madison's marriage remained friendly connection to Connolly and was actively participating in their lives' daughters. In the ensuing years, Madison developed a romantic relationship with the stunningly beautiful actress Giacola of Irish and Italian heritage, who had left her impact in movies like The Guns of Navarrone's relationship in 1961 never formally established via matrimony, was some of their friends have characterized them as powerful and extremely charged. Sophisticated scholar renowned for her charisma and vulnerability, has also encountered difficulties comparable to Madison's first wife's, encompassing problems with depression and alcoholic beverages. Nevertheless, she and Madison stayed near, and in accordance with biographical sources, their relationship was important. Such that prior to her premature and unexplained death, Madison was identified by Scola as the recipient for her area of the screen. This act was witnessed by the actors' pension fund by many as an expression of intense love and trust, and it highlighted the enduring relationship they had, even if the connection wasn't typical. Besides his daughters from his Guy Madison's marriage to Sheila Connolly had Robert Madison as a son who would proceed to carry on his father's stages by turning into an actor who was born from a separate partnership later on in Madison's life. Robert grew up in Madison, spent a lot of time in Italy. Period of the 1960s and 1970s, appearing in European motion pictures, especially in Robert, the spaghetti western genre. Had a reputable acting career his own in Italy, showing up in movies and television shows. In spite of geographical and generational distance, the father-son relationship was Madison is said to be a meaningful one. Guy provided Robert with direction and assistance as he dealt with life's obstacles in the entertainment sector, passing on his work background as well as a heritage of adaptation and resilience that has characterized his professional life. For many years, Guy Madison was well known among the public as the soft-spoken, square-jawed star of war movies and westerns, the most renowned performance as Wild Bill Hickok in the enduring television show Wild Bill Hickok's Adventures. Sculpted, attractive, calm, and he was a heartthrob because of The Boy Next Door. In the 1940s and 1950s, when there were hordes of admiring female admirers yet underneath the tough Hollywood exterior and Madison's fabricated public persona lived a far more intricate and personal life. Reality that is molded by the rigorous moral the studio system's codes and the constant risk of exposure in a time extremely intolerable to gaze. In a rumored autobiography collected from personal correspondence and interviews, Madison discloses the untold stories of his life, including intimate and sentimental descriptions of the romantic connections he has with a number of several of the actor's fellows were also confined and constrained by the same severe limitations for initial names and faces from the heyday of Hollywood are unmasked in silence rather than controversy. Honor as guys who lived in and loved secret out of fear of losing one's job in a moment when there is a suggestion of homosexuality might put an end to the reflections of career. Madison paint a depiction of human endurance, longing, and relationship. He openly describes his connection to Ramon Novarro, the silent film star most recognized for his part in Story of the Christ in Ben-Hur. Ramon in 1925 was a kind, spiritual, and more astute than anyone realized. We'd meet in quiet, Madison writes. West Hollywood alleys or retreat visit Palm Springs while posing as relaxation and rest there, we discovered a kind of peace, of tranquility that neither of us could assert. And additionally, he talks with our public lives. Tyrone Power's affection and friendliness. Intrepid matinee star whose bisexuality was discussed in passing, although never verified while he was alive. Power, according to Madison, is charismatic, and clashed with a man who held the weight of conflicting expectations and the studio agreements and private realities. We made contact during his twilight hours. When the cameras stopped rolling, stardom and the masks were removed and those infrequent in the silence, we were simply two men attempting to comprehend what love might be. Another time when the world refused to see it. Anthony Perkins is the name Madison discloses. The insane celebrity whose sexual preference was mostly kept a secret among the link between Hollywood insiders. Madison's notes were brief yet powerful. Tony was a young man who was always tormented by not quite sure how much he could even to someone who was aware of it. Madison remembers the stakes. We had a few months of intense passion entangled in both. He always seemed to be both anxious and excited to be keeping an eye on him, and for good cause. Madison shares possibly the most moving story. The relationship he had with Rock Hudson, whose 1985 deaths from AIDS represented a seismic change in the public conversation regarding Hollywood. Madison's homosexuality characterizes their partnership as equal. The smile was part delight and part sorrow. Of a beautiful boy and a man's soul he had to disintegrate himself in order to endure the robbery of our time together. Quiet or only weekends in Big Bear, meals in his secret canyon home, but even moments that are snatched can be. Madison's writings are ageless. Is cautious not to. His tone is introspective and dramatic, respectful and brimming with empathy, originating from a common experience. These weren't they were only names or trysts. Meaningful relationships in a society that frequently denied their very potential. We didn't date in the conventional sense. He now clarifies that dating was furtive, programmed cautiously, but we watched, held each other, and laughed. The dawn and discussed the lives we would have preferred to have lived, and to separate the memoir from its additionally revelatory nature illuminates the toll that fear and secrecy had. Homosexual men's psychological health in Hollywood. Madison in the mid-century talks about the stress of studio agreements with morality clauses are a constant danger of exposure to tabloids and the psychological burden of continuously concealing one's identity. There were moments when I believed I might get insane from acting, as though he admits to every interview and picture opportunity it was all an act with a female co-star. However, the actual performance never took place. Screen in day-to-day living, but Madison is not limited to living in the shadows. He also honors the silent victories, that secret looks and cryptic love letters over soundstages with the ease of a hand situated beneath a dining table that we sculpted where we could find happiness, he writes. In a world where love was denied to us, we discovered it nevertheless. Madison's choice to speak the truth, even if it means posturing fresh perspective on several actors' tales, their identities are still hidden in coded biographical materials and a clean studio. His autobiography not only recovers his own truth, but also helps to the larger endeavor to commemorate the lives of LGBTQ+ people who influenced and were influenced by the heyday of Hollywood. Once he retired from a lengthy and prosperous career in television and movies, Madison decided to live in the peaceful and the stunning Marengo Valley, which is situated in the high desert of Southern California. Renowned for its breathtaking beauty, views of the mountains and a tranquil setting, the Marengo Valley offered a perfect Madison's retreat after he spent decades in the public eye there, building a large ranch-style house that demonstrated his passion for the great outdoors and his need for seclusion and peace later in life. The property served in addition to being his home, but also as a where he might take in the scenery surroundings, amuse close companions and participate in recreational pursuits such as activities like gardening and horseback riding that the actor had long found appealing, particularly considering his background in westerns and roles in action-adventure. But as time passed, Madison's health started to deteriorate. He experienced emphysema, is a progressive, long-term lung condition. Illness that is frequently linked to smoking. It significantly restricted his range of motion and breathing ability in his last years. Despite his alleged ailment, continued to be as active as his illness permitted, friends to visit and being in touch with several former co-workers and supporters who cherished him for his contributions to a fan of vintage television and movies. Madison's death occurred on February 6, 1996. He passed away in the desert at the age of 74. Palm Springs Hospice, California is a place renowned for delivering compassionate care at the end of life. His passing signaled the end of a period for admirers who grew up seeing him on screen amid the heyday of Hollywood westerns, especially in his legendary performance as Wild Bill Hickok. Madison was buried in Forest Lawn, Cathedral City, California Cemetery, serene and exquisitely landscaped cemetery, which serves as the last resting place for a number of well-known Hollywood personalities there. He was buried among other stars and demonstrated the enduring influence he had, an impact on the entertainment sector. That the funeral was a simple but sentimental event that was attended by close friends, relatives, and former co-workers that were acquainted with Madison both individually and among those who paid. Professionally, Don Burnett gave an homage to him. An actor and personal acquaintance who had changed careers and became at the burial, stockbroker Burnett gave a speech, delivering a tribute that considered Madison's professional achievements, his integrity and the long-lasting friendships throughout his life he had developed. As Madison was honored by the words, not just as a public personality and adored performer, yet as a devoted companion and a modest individual who had life quietly, gracefully, and with integrity. Dignity. Number 3.